Go ahead.
Welcome back to Hard Truths with Hardy, where we don't sugarcoat the real estate process for you. If you want to know the truth, I'm your gal. You definitely want to talk to me. Before we get into our topic today, which is biggest mistakes when listing your home, let's talk a little bit about some of my favorite local places. I like to highlight a place that I love to visit or love the food every once in a while on our podcast. And today, I thought I'd mention Soccer Taco. They've got several new locations around town, and what I love about Soccer Taco, honestly, is the patio. I love that you can walk in anytime, just about anytime. Occasionally they have a wait, get a table. Sometimes they've got a band, sit on the patio, have a pitcher of margaritas, and there's nothing more I enjoy in the spring and fall than having a pitcher of margaritas, having dinner with friends. I just think it's a great time to go sit on a patio and hang out and have some drinks. So if you've not checked them out, please do. Today, we're going to talk about biggest mistakes when listing your home. I feel like sometimes I'm preaching the same thing over and over. When people call to list their home, inevitably, 99.9999 into infinity, people think their home is worth way more than what it's worth. And I get it. We all get personally attached to our home. It's probably the most expensive purchase of our life. We feel like we've taken great care of it, so we think it's worth $1 bajillion. Usually, we have to help clients come back to reality about what their home value is worth. A common misnomer I've seen is you'll have somebody that's not taking care of their home, or it's super cluttered, they've not done any updates, and they want to compare it to Sally Sue's house down the street, who has kept it completely updated. They're up on the latest design trends. They've put some money into remodeling the house, having it open concept, the current colors, and then my seller won't have done anything, and it'll have avocado green carpet and avocado green appliances. And I'm trying to explain that Sally Sue's house may have sold for $600,000, but your house has 30-year-old carpet that's never been updated, and it's real cluttered, may have not been cleaned the best. It's not going to sell for the same price. Unfortunately, what generally happens is Sally Sue loves all those fake flowers that are everywhere in the home, and she doesn't understand that that's not everybody else's style. And a lot of people don't want avocado green or gold paint. They want neutral colors, and you have to appeal to the masses when you're listing your home. So it's important to walk through that process with a client so that they understand why their home isn't necessarily worth the same as the one down the street. Another thing that happens when you go to a listing appointment, it often happens with older clients. They'll say, well, I talked to my neighbor and they told me my house ought to be worth at least $600,000. And I'm like, oh, okay, your neighbor said that. Are they a realtor? No, he's a fireman. I'm like, oh, so he's really knowledgeable about the real estate market, right? No. Just because your neighbor tells you it's worth $600,000, that doesn't mean that it really is. So it's important that you're talking to someone that's working in the market every day, is knowledgeable about home values and how to get those, so that they give you an honest perception of what your home is really worth. It's back to school time. I always wondered when I was younger, why were we looking at back to school clothes in July? Why did I need jeans and log pants when it was 90 degrees outside? But that's what people are thinking, right? They're thinking about the focus switching to getting their kids off to school, being ready for the new school year, and the focus is starting to shift to getting the kids back in. Now, every year, at the same time of year, we see a lull. Usually the first couple weeks in August, people are getting their kids back to school. Older kids are going to college, so parents are helping them get moved. There's not a lot of activity in the home market those first couple weeks of August. Sometimes it lasts just a little bit longer, and then usually we'll pick back up for September. But when back to school season is in full swing, you'll definitely notice a lull. You'll start seeing fall menus come out for restaurants, and while we all enjoy that time, you've got to think about, if you're going to market your home, what's the best strategy to market your home if you need to sell it this time of year? What I would tell you is pricing high does not make sense. Homes are sitting on the market longer. Depending on where you live, your zip code, and the demographic of your home, we're looking at about 60 days on the market in Knox County. And when you list your home higher than what's reasonable for it, you can expect you're probably going to sit longer than that. Homes that I'm seeing sell quickly are priced reasonably on the front side. And the value to doing that is more people come and look at the home because they see it's affordable and it's reasonably priced. So more people in the door results in more offers. It's more competition. And that's really the desired goal for your house. If you price it high, less people come in the door because they realize the seller may not be realistic about what they're expecting, and it's just a detractant. It turns people away. The statement I always hear from sellers is, I want to list it high so that I have room to come down. Well, you can do that, but you'll probably come down even more because the longer it sits on the market, the more people think something's wrong with it. Think about when you go out to pick apples. And think about when they're the most ripe. Are they the most ripe and the most delicious after they've been sitting there for 60 days? Probably not. Your house is just like that fruit. The quicker you can get it sold when it gets on the market, the better price you're going to get. The longer it sits, the more people think something's wrong with it, the less they're willing to pay, the more they're questioning why other people aren't buying your home and why it's still sitting. So automatically the perception in their mind is something's wrong with this. It's overpriced. It's probably got problems. It could have foundation problems. It may have a water issue. That's not what you want people thinking. So be strategic on the front end and price it reasonably up front. Even a little lower than the house down the street is really the angle you want to take, especially if there's new construction in your area. A good example of that is, obviously everybody knows Smith Built in this area. They build everywhere, right? And usually if you live in Knox County, there's a Smith Built neighborhood somewhere close to you. If they're building a new neighborhood close to your former Smith Built subdivision, you certainly don't want to price your home a lot higher than they're selling that same house for now. Because who wouldn't want to go buy a new house and choose the colors and the designs of it for a cheaper price than what they could buy your home for? So you have to put some thought and strategy into pricing your home. Professional photos and videos are extremely important. The more society gets busy and doesn't have the time to go out and look at homes, or people are moving into the state, video showings become more important every day. It's a big part of our business that we're out doing video showings, that we post a video of the home online. You can see just about anything in a video if it's good quality. Not so much cell phone photos. I recently sold a home and I was shocked at the listing photos and the lack of effort put into listing this home. It was a home that was around $850,000. It had been on the market for a year with 0 offers. When I first shared the home with my clients, they said, "Oh, that doesn't look very good." And I said, well, it's one of the few homes on the market that fits your needs. This home had 4 acres. It had 3 bedrooms with their own baths on the main level. And then downstairs, an additional bedroom, entertaining area, another garage. It really met their needs. We went to look at it, and they were shocked. The whole listing may have had 6 or 7 photos, had 0 photos of the acreage that went along with the house. It only had 1 terrible cell phone picture of the bedroom, none of the master bath. It had 1 picture of the kitchen, which was horrific. It made the kitchen look terrible. The lighting was poor. And when we got to the house, they said, this house looks so much better in person than it does in the photos. And that's opposite of what you normally hear. Typically, people look at listing photos and say, oh, it looks so much bigger in the pictures than it does in person. And that's because photographers have to use a wide angle lens in order to get the whole room in the listing photos. Otherwise, they'd only get a very small portion of the room. These were just cell phone photos, and they made the listing look terrible. So we were very pleasantly surprised when we went to look at it that it was much nicer in person. When you list your home, the photos should go in order of how you walk through the home. The buyer should be able to feel like I've walked in the front door and followed a path through your home as if I were there looking at it. But so many times I see listing photos just thrown online in any order that make no sense. They're of poor quality and they're not labeled. OMG. Label your dang photos, people. if you think about it, buyers don't know what that room is. They can't tell if it's a bedroom or a flex room or a bonus room or a room in the basement, for goodness sake. You've been through the home. They haven't. Labeling your photos is so important. So you, as a seller, need to make sure your agent is doing those kind of things because it's important to present your home in the best light. That's part of marketing, right? So it's important as you talk to people to make sure and look at their previous listings. What do they look like? Do they look like they're taken with a 2000 model cell phone? It's probably a flip phone, isn't it? You don't want that. It's important to do it correctly. So when you look at homes online and you see the ones that look really good to you, your expectation should be that your home look as good or better than that one. That may mean decluttering. It may mean pricing strategy. But your agent should be there to answer those questions for you. It's very important to strategize. A lot of people think that all we do is open a door, but there's so much more to it. My job is to figure out how to take a home that's not that great and put it out there for the consumer to see it in the best light and think it's the next best thing for them to buy. So if you're looking to sell a home or buy a home in the East Tennessee area, call me. I'm happy to help you find your way home. And of course, join us again next week. You can find us on Spotify or YouTube or connect to us from any of our social media platforms. Hard Truths with Hardy. We'll see you again next week.